The crash, the sound of fire crackled in the air. Smoke rose from the broken escape pod, now lying sideways in the middle of a strange blue forest. Trees here were tall and glowing. Their leaves were soft, silver, and they moved even when there was no wind. A man crawled out of the pod, coughing hard. His name was Jake Carter, a soldier from Earth. His face was dirty, and his arm was bleeding. His spacesuit was torn on one side, and his helmet was cracked. But he was alive. Jake looked around, confused. "Where am I?" he whispered, though no one was there to answer. The last thing he remembered was his ship being hit during a space battle, the sirens, the red lights, the captain shouting. Then everything went dark. Now he was here, alone on a planet he didn't recognize. He took a deep breath. The air was clean, but smelled strange like flowers and metal. He grabbed his emergency pack from the pod and slowly stood up. His leg hurt, but he could walk. Suddenly, he heard something. A whisper, it wasn't in the air, was inside his head. "You're not from here." Jake turned around fast. "Who's there?" he shouted. No answer. His heart pounded. He looked up at the trees, then down at the plants below. Everything around him glowed softly in blue and green. Even the ground looked alive. Then he saw her. A girl standing just a few feet away, half hidden behind a glowing tree. She had pale silver skin, long white hair that floated like it was underwater, and eyes that glowed purple. She wore no armor, only a thin, smooth suit that changed color as she moved. Jake reached for his blaster but remembered it was lost in the crash. The girl stepped closer. Her feet didn't touch the ground. She was floating. Jake took a step back, scared. Then she spoke, no, not with her mouth. Her voice came into his mind. "You're loud," she said, smiling slightly. Jake gasped. "What? How are you in my head?" She tilted her head like she didn't understand the question. Or maybe she just found it funny. "Your thoughts? They are everywhere. Noisy, messy, and messy." And she paused, then smirked. Strange. Jake's face turned red. He suddenly remembered what he was thinking a few seconds ago when he saw her. "Oh no." He muttered, double quotes, "Yes," she said, reading his thoughts again. "You thought I was pretty and dangerous." And then Jake interrupted, holding up his hands. "Wait, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to think that. I was just hurt, confused, but..." She was already laughing. Not out loud, but inside his mind. "Humans," she whispered, "always thinking dirty thoughts, even when dying." Kay's ears turned even redder. She floated closer, and this time he didn't step back. She reached out and touched the side of his face gently. Her fingers were cool, and then images flashed in his mind. Her people, her planet, the war, hiding, fear, pain, loneliness. He gasped and pulled back. "What was that?" he said. She looked calm. "A little truth. I needed to see if you were good or bad." Jake blinked. "And what did you see?" She smiled. "You are stupid, but not bad." "Gee, thanks," Jake muttered, then her smile faded. She looked up at the sky, serious now. "They are coming," she said. "Who?" Jake asked. "Hunters. From the sky. Not my kind. Not yours. Either if they find you, they will take your brain." Jake's eyes went wide. "What? My brain?" She nodded slowly. "You landed near an ancient zone, a forbidden place. Very old, very dangerous. Now they will come. For you. For secrets inside you." Jake shook his head. "I don't have any secrets. I'm just a soldier." But the alien girl didn't seem convinced. "Your crash, it was not by accident." Jake felt cold. What do you mean? But before she could answer, the sky above them shook. A loud humming sound filled the air. She turned quickly. Eyes glowed brighter. Come, she said. We must hide, or you will die in 5 minutes. Jake didn't argue. He followed her into the glowing trees, his heart beating fast, his mind full of fear, and one strange thought he couldn't stop. Who is she really? And even stranger, why is she helping me? Asterix, the trees were alive, not in the normal way. Their branches moved like arms, slowly shifting as if reaching for something. Glowing insects flew between them, lighting the path. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. Even Jake's footsteps seemed too loud. The alien girl moved without a sound. She floated just above the ground, her white hair glowing softly in the dark dot. Jake followed behind, limping, holding his side. His leg was worse now, but he didn't complain. He didn't want to look weak not in front of her. She stopped near a giant root that opened like a cave. Without a word, she waved her hand. The root moved, opening wider, letting them enter. Inside was warm. The walls of the root pulsed with soft blue light, like a heartbeat. Jake sat down, breathing hard. Is this ... your house? She sat across from him, legs crossed, still floating a few inches above the floor. No, she said. This is a safe place. It listens. It hides us. Jake looked around nervously. It listens, she nodded. But it doesn't speak. Jake leaned back and stared at her. Do you have a name? She tilted her head. Syria. Syria, he repeated. Okay, I'm Jake. I know, she said, smiling. Jake blinked. Right, of course. You read my mind. Syria looked amused. Not all thoughts, just the loud ones. Jake scratched his head. Loud ones. She leaned closer, her purple eyes glowing. Thoughts with feeling, emotion, fear, desire, anger. These thoughts shout. I hear them even when I don't want to. Jake remembered what she had heard earlier. His cheeks turned red again. I really didn't mean to think that, he said. Quickly, Syria gave a small smirk. It's not a crime. It is only thought. Jake tried to change the subject. Why are you helping me? Syria looked away. Because you were lost. And because, ... you are not like the others. Jake frowned. What do you mean? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she closed her eyes. The blue light in the root house grew stronger. Jake watched in silence. Then her voice echoed in his head again, not words this time, but images. He saw himself floating in space. Saw the moment his ship exploded. Saw a shadow, no, a shape watching him from above before he lost consciousness. He gasped. That ... wasn't a dream. No, Syria said. Something saw you. Something old. Jake's skin crawled. What was it? Syria's voice was cold now. A collector. A mind hunter. It follows knowledge. It changes people from the inside. Oh, Jake shook his head, but I'm fine. I'm still me. Syria stared at him. Are you sure? Jake didn't answer. He looked at his hands. They were shaking. Something had changed since the crash. His dreams felt real. His memories felt wrong. And ever since he met Syria, something inside him felt awake. Suddenly, he had a thought he didn't mean to think. She's beautiful, even when she's scary. Syria's eyes narrowed. Jake cursed. Sorry, that just slipped in. I didn't. But Syria just laughed. A quiet, real laugh. Not in his mind, this time out loud. You are honest, she said. Even when you try not to be. Jake gave a weak smile. Yeah, I guess my brain forgot how to lie. Good, she said. Lies taste bad. He raised an eyebrow. Taste. She nodded. Thoughts have flavors. Yours are salty. Jake couldn't tell if she was joking or not. Then Syria suddenly stood up. Her smile vanished. They are near. Jake stood too, who Syria didn't answer. She touched the wall of the root. The light inside flickered. The ground rumbled. A part of the wall opened like a window. Jake peeked through. 3 floating machines moved between the trees. They were black, round, and had red eyes scanning everything. Drones, not human. Not from Syria's world either, Jake whispered. They're hunting. Syria whispered back, not just hunting. Smelling, they search for brainwaves. You are loud. Jake took a step back. Can you shut my mind off? Syria turned to him. I can teach you, but not now. For now, you must hide your fear. It is the loudest thing you have. Jake closed his eyes and tried to calm down. It wasn't easy. Syria placed a hand on his chest. A warmth passed into him. His heart slowed. The drones moved past, missing them by inches. When they were gone, Jake exhaled. Syria pulled her hand away. You are learning. Jake looked at her. With new respect, you're not just some alien girl, are you? She smiled again. And you are not just a soldier. Jake looked down. I don't know what I am anymore, Syria said. That's good. This means you are changing, evolving. Jake looked up into what? She floated backward into the shadows. Her voice echoed in his mind, into something they fear. Night had no stars on this planet. Instead, sky shimmered with strange light-soft waves of green and purple moving slowly like a living painting. It should have been beautiful. But Jake didn't feel peace. He followed Syria through the glowing forest, moving as fast as his injured leg allowed. Every step was silent, but every shadow looked alive. The trees leaned closer now, as if they were listening. They know you're here, Syria said, without turning. Jake whispered. The drones, no, she replied. The ones who sent them, the true hunters. Jake looked around, breathing hard. Then why are we still walking? We should hide again. Syria finally stopped and looked back at him. Her eyes glowed brighter than before. Hiding won't help anymore. You were marked the moment you touched this ground. Jake's chest tightened. So, what happens now? Syria turned away. Now, we run. She raised her hand and the roots of the forest moved aside, creating a narrow path between the trees. Jake hesitated, then followed her in. The path led down deep beneath the surface into the ground itself. Soon they were inside a dark tunnel. The walls made of smooth crystal. Jake touched one wall and felt a pulse, like a quiet heartbeat. What is this place? He asked. Old Syria said. Older than my people, older than war. Jake looked around. Symbols glowed faintly on the wall, shapes he didn't recognize, but they made his head hurt. He pulled his hand away. They built this to stay alive, she added. But in the end, even they were hunted. Jake stared at her. Hunted. By what? Before she could answer, the tunnel shook. A low, deep sound rolled through the earth, like something huge had woken up. Jake drew back. That wasn't thunder. No, Syria said quietly. It was a step. Suddenly, the symbols on the walls turned red. Syria's voice grew sharp. They found the gate. Jake looked toward the path behind them. How do we stop them? Syria floated into the air and raised both her hands. The crystals began to hum. Jake watched in awe as lights circled around her. Her hair rose. Her eyes turned white. She whispered, I was hoping not to use this. But I will protect this place, and you. Before Jake could speak, the ceiling above cracked. Boom. A massive machine dropped into the tunnel behind them. It had long black limbs like metal spiders, and red light poured from its face. It screeched a horrible sound that rattled Jake's bones. It saw him. Jake felt pain in his head, like claws digging into his brain. He screamed and dropped to his knees. "Stop thinking," Syria shouted. "It's feeding on your thoughts." Jake tried to blank his mind, but fear screamed louder. The creature stepped forward. Syria raised her hands again, but this time the machine launched a bolt of red lightning at her. It hit her chest. She flew back, crashing against the wall. Jake's fear vanished. Something else rose up: rage. He stood, teeth clenched. Get away from her. The machine turned toward him again, ready to strike. And then something strange happened. The wall behind Jake began to glow. A mark appeared, shaped like a circle with 3 lines. The same mark that had burned on his escape pod. The machine stopped. It scanned the mark. Then it bowed. Jake froze. What the hell? The red light from its face flickered. Syria, weak but alive, looked up. Her voice was hoarse. "It recognizes you." Jake helped her up. "Why? I don't command machines." Syria looked at him like he was something new. "Maybe you don't eat? Yet?" Suddenly, the machine stood tall again. Its red lights turned green. It spoke. In a deep, robotic voice. Identity confirmed. Guardian protocol initiated. Awaiting command. Jake stepped back. "Guardian? Me?" The tunnel began to rumble again. More machines were coming. But this one had switched sides. Syria leaned on Jake and whispered, "You're not the prey anymore." Jake looked at his hands. They trembled not with fear, but with power. He looked at the waiting machine. "Then let's give them something to hunt." Jake couldn't sleep that night, not because of pain, but because of questions. They had escaped the tunnel and traveled far into the forest, guided by the strange machine that now followed them like a pet. Syria called it a bonded sentinel. It called Jake guardian. But Jake didn't feel like a guardian. He felt lost. Now they were resting in a hidden cave high in the cliffs. The stars above looked like rivers of light flowing through the black sky. Strange birds with crystal wings circled in the distance. Jake sat near a warm blue fire, staring at it, lost in thought. Syria sat across from him, quiet as always. But tonight, something felt different. He looked at her, as she was, watching the fire, not him. Her expression was unreadable. Calm, maybe sad. Jake spoke softly. "You saved me again." Syria blinked slowly, but said nothing. He continued, "That machine, it obeyed me, but I don't understand why." "You seem surprised too." Still no reply. Jake leaned forward. "Syria, I think you know more than you've told me." She finally looked at him. Her voice was soft, but clear. "You are right." Jake waited. After a long silence, Syria said, "Do you know what I am?" Jake shrugged. "A mind reader, a powerful one." She smiled faintly. "That is what I do, not what I am." Jake said nothing. Syria stood and walked toward the edge of the cave. The wind moved her hair gently. She raised one hand and a light appeared in the air. A glowing symbol, spinning slowly. "I come from a lost race," she said. "We were once called the Illyrian. We did not fight with weapons. We used thought, memory, emotion. Our minds shaped the world." Jake frowned. "Then, what happened?" She closed her hand. The symbol vanished. "Others feared us. They said we were too strong, too dangerous, so they hunted us. One by one, we disappeared." Jake stood beside her. "You're the last." She nodded. "As far as I know," he hesitated. "Is that why you hide in these forests? Is that why you saved me?" "Because I'm not one of them." Syria didn't answer. Jake looked down. "Or is it because of what I am becoming?" Syria looked at him now, eyes glowing faintly. "You're changing, Jake. Slowly, your thoughts are not just thoughts anymore. They bend things, guide things. The machines feel it." Jake sat down, overwhelmed. "This isn't fair. I didn't ask for this." "No. One does," she said softly. "But now you must choose what to do with it." They sat in silence. Then Jake asked the question he was afraid to ask. "Why were you in the forest the day I crashed?" Syria turned away. "Because I was watching me." "Yes," she whispered. "For many days before, I knew someone was coming. I felt your mind across the stars." Jake stared at her. "You knew me before I ever landed." She nodded. "Not your face, not your name, but your mind. It called to me." T stood slowly. "Then you could have left me or warned me." "I could have," she said, "but I didn't, because—" She stopped. Jake stepped closer. "Because why?" Syria turned. Her voice was quieter than ever. "Because I was lonely." Jake's chest tightened. "I've heard so many thoughts," she said. "Cruel ones, empty ones. Mine's full of power, but no heart. Yours was different. It was clumsy, loud, silly. But it was kind." Jake didn't know what to say. He reached out, but didn't touch her. She stepped closer anyway. "And yes," she added with a little smirk, "sometimes your thoughts were dirty." Jake groaned. "You're never letting that go, are you?" "No," she said. "Because it means your mind is still human, still alive." Then her smile faded. "But now," she said, "you carry something else inside you. A signal, not just from the crash, from before it. I believe someone planted it in you." Jake stepped back. "Like a tracker?" "No," she said. "Like a key." Jake's blood ran cold. "Key to what?" Syria looked up at the sky, to something ancient and dangerous. "And they will come for it." The blue fire flickered. Suddenly, the machine standing nearby turned its head toward the cave entrance. Its voice echoed, approaching heat signatures. 3 life forms, armed. Jake looked at Syria. "More drones." She shook her head. "No, these are humans." Jake felt a rush of hope. "Maybe they're here to rescue me." Syria didn't move. "Or maybe they're here to collect what's in your head." Jake stepped into the mouth of the cave, his heart pounding. 3 figures were climbing up the cliff toward them, human shapes in dark armor, faces hidden behind helmets. Their suits had Earth's military symbols on the chest. His own people. Finally, Jake whispered. Rescue Syria didn't move. Her glowing eyes followed the soldiers coldly. The lead soldier reached the top and raised a hand. "Lieutenant Jake Carter." The voice said through a speaker. Jake stepped forward. "Yes, I'm alive. My ship crashed 3 days ago. There's another survivor with me." The soldier turned his head slightly. "We know." Jake blinked. "You... ... do." Behind him, Syria's voice echoed gently in his mind. "Be careful. Something is wrong." The second soldier pulled a small metal device from his belt and pressed it. A red light blinked. Jake felt it immediately. A sharp pulse in his skull. His vision blurred. He fell to one knee. What is that?" The third soldier walked past him, straight toward Syria, and pointed a weapon at her. Target confirmed. Psionic Class 4, proceeding with extraction. Jake shouted, "Wait, what are you doing?" The leader turned toward him. "Not your concern anymore, Lieutenant. Stand down." Jake looked at Syria. She was calm, even with a weapon pointed at her. "I told you," she said softly. "They didn't come to save you. They came to collect you." Jake stood up, forcing himself to stay conscious. "You're making a mistake. She saved my life." The leader stepped forward. "She's classified as a threat under Directive 0. Any contact with psionic species is forbidden." Jake clenched his fists. "Then why didn't you warn me? Why wasn't that in my mission file?" The soldier hesitated just for a second. "You weren't supposed to survive the crash." The words hit like ice. Jake's stomach turned. "You... what?" The soldier's voice was flat. "You were selected for a higher-risk recon over this sector. The escape pod was rigged. The explosion was intentional. You were never meant to return." Jake's legs almost gave out. Behind him, Saria whispered, "Now you see?" He looked at the three soldiers, his own people. "Why? Why send me to die?" The second soldier replied, "Because you were exposed to the Illyrian energy during the last deep space scan. You started showing neural changes. We couldn't allow it to spread." Jake's eyes widened. "You knew I was changing." The first soldier nodded, "And we couldn't risk it evolving. You're not fully human anymore." Saria stepped beside Jake now, silent, watching the soldiers with quiet fire in her eyes. Jake spoke slowly, his voice shaking with anger. "Then why are you here now?" The soldier lifted a silver box. "To extract what's in your head." He opened the box and a small glowing needle floated into the air. Jake stepped back. No way." The soldiers raised their weapons. "You can come quietly, or we'll take it from your corpse." Jake was frozen. His own people, his own command. He had trusted them, fought for them, and now they saw him as nothing more than data. Saria's voice rang in his mind. "Let me show you the truth. One memory, locked away by force. It will hurt." Jake closed his eyes. "Do it." She touched his temple with 2 fingers. Flash, he saw a white room, a cold chair, straps on his arms. A voice. "Hold still, Lieutenant. This won't take long." Pain then, a glowing map. A signal buried in his brain. A code. He was the key. He had been altered not by aliens, by his own people. Jake gasped and stumbled backward, grabbing his head. Saria caught him. "I remember now," he said, eyes wide. "They didn't send me to die. They used me. I'm carrying something that can control the ancient tech on this planet." The lead soldier raised the needle. "That's why we need your mind. Don't resist." Saria stepped in front of Jake. The wind rose. Her voice was ice. "You will not touch him." The sky turned violet. Energy swirled around her. The soldiers fired. Everything exploded in light. Asterisk, the world was silent. Ash floated in the air like snow, glowing softly. The blue fire had gone out. The trees outside the cave no longer swayed. Jake lay on the ground, smoke rising from his clothes. He could hear the crackling of burned metal. The 3 soldiers, his own people, were gone. 2 were unconscious. 1 was just gone. The machine that had followed them, the Sentinel, stood still beside him, shielding his body. Its red lights blinked slowly, damaged, and Saria stood in the center of it all, glowing from her skin, her hair, her eyes. A storm of energy still moved around her like invisible fire. She had done this for him. Jake coughed, struggling to sit up. Saria rushed to him, kneeling beside his body. Her voice was soft but urgent. "You were almost taken." Jake gave a weak smile. "Yeah, but you exploded the sky. So, ... thanks." She touched his chest. "You are hurt, just bruised," he said. Nothing new. But inside, something was breaking, not bones, not blood, his thoughts. His mind, they were no longer just his. He could hear whispers, voices that weren't real. Or maybe they were. He grabbed Saria's wrist. "What's happening to me?" She didn't lie. You're unlocking, she said. Jake blinked. Unlocking what? She paused. Everything. Jake's head spun. I can't keep guessing, Syria. I need answers, now. She looked into his eyes. I can give them to you, but not with words, not with memory, only through connection. He nodded slowly. You mean a mind merge? Yes, she said. But it is not safe. If you have too much darkness, I could be trapped in it. Jake looked down. I don't want to hurt you. Syria touched his cheek. Then don't hide from me. They sat face to face, legs crossed, hands touching, her eyes closed. His followed silence. Then ... the merge began. Inside the mind, it was not a dream. It was a place without gravity. Without shape, colors drifted through the air. Memories floated like glass bubbles, bumping softly into each other. Jake opened his eyes and saw himself as a child playing with a toy spaceship. That was real. That was his. But behind it, Syria stood watching. Curious. This is your mind, she said, her voice echoing without sound. He turned to see her. This is ... weird. She smiled. This is you. All of you. More memories passed. His first mission, his crash. The voices of command. The moment they strapped him to that chair, Syria floated closer. Here's where they changed you. Jake saw the glowing symbol again, the one burned into his mind. His body was shaking. She touched its hand. They were pulled deeper. Her memories now. Jake stood in a burned city of glass towers. Alien ruins stretched into the sky, cracked and broken. Children screamed. Strange ships flew above, firing beams of white fire. Syria walked through the ruins. A child. Alone, her family gone. Her people gone. He watched her grow up in silence, hiding in shadows. Learning to shield her thoughts. Learning to survive while listening to the minds of killers. Jake's heart broke. You were just a girl. He said aloud, you didn't deserve this. Syria stood beside her younger self. And yet, I survived. The truth of memories twisted again. Now they were inside something ancient, a room built from black stone, floating symbols around a crystal. A giant machine, Jake, stood at its center. Syria's voice returned. This is the control chamber. The core of an ancient weapon buried deep. Under this planet, only someone with the right imprint can unlock it. Jake looked down. The symbol from his pod glowed on his chest. Me, he whispered. Yes, she said. You are not the weapon, but you are the key to it. Jake was shaking. They used me. My people turned me into a trigger. He looked up at her, his eyes filled with pain. Then what am I now? Still human, or something else? Syria floated toward him. She placed her hands over his heart. You are what you choose to be. Back to the real world, Jake gasped awake. The cave was cold. His head throbbed, but his eyes glowed faintly, now just like hers. He looked at Syria. She was pale, weak. Are you okay? She nodded slowly. You held back the darkness. I'm still here. Jake grabbed her hands. I saw everything. And now, she said, you understand everything. The sentinel behind them rebooted. Energy surge detected beneath ground. Core signal active. Jake stood. They know I'm the key. Syria whispered. Then we must decide what to do with the lock. The sky pulsed red. Clouds twisted like smoke trails, and the ground beneath the alien forest trembled. Something ancient was waking. Beneath the soil, beneath the stone, a machine older than memory was opening its eyes. Jake stood at the edge of the crater, wind roaring past him. His eyes no longer looked human. They glowed with soft blue fire, like Sirius. The symbol on his chest pulsed in rhythm with the earth. He could feel it now, the machine, calling to him. Waiting for him. Behind him, Sirius stood still, her white hair tangled by the storm. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Their minds had touched. She knew what he was thinking, and he knew what she feared. He took a breath. It's awake, isn't it? Syria nodded. Yes, and it will listen to you. Jake looked down at his hands. I don't know if that's a good thing. In the distance, 3 ships appeared in the sky, human ships, but not here for rescue. Black, silent, loaded with weapons. They circled like vultures above the crater. Scanning for him, he already knew what their orders were. Retrieve the Q live if possible. Dead if necessary, Jake had no time left. Syria stepped beside him. If you go down there, the machine will bond to your mind. You will control it. And, Jake asked, and it will never let go. He turned toward her. That's what they wanted, right? Me as a tool. No, she said. They wanted a weapon, not a man. Jake laughed softly. Maybe there's no difference anymore. Syria touched his arm. There is. A tase. Because, you still ask? The crater opened wider. Below, a glowing spiral formed. Steps made of light led down into the ancient core. He felt something else, now pain. Not in the body, not even fear. It was something sharper, the weight of choice. He looked at Syria. If I go, I become part of that thing. If I don't, those ships kill us both. Syria didn't answer. She wouldn't make the choice for it. Jake turned to the crater, staring into the heart of the alien world. His thoughts raced. They changed me. Lied to me, used me. But what if I used this, not for war, but to stop it? He stepped forward. Syria grabbed his hand. Jake turned. Her voice was low. Before you choose, I want you to know something. He waited. I didn't just save you because you were different. I saved you because, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. The wind stopped. For a second, the world fell still. Jake squeezed her hand. Then maybe I won't be alone in there either. He let go and walked down the glowing steps. Each step lit up under his feet. The light was warm, familiar when he reached the bottom. A massive doorway, open stone, and fire. The chamber inside pulsed with power. Ancient technology whispered in languages no longer spoken. The core circular, alive, waiting floated in the center. It spoke into his mind. Guardian confirmed. Will you merge? Jake didn't speak. He stepped forward. Images raced through him, galaxies, wars, the rise and fall of species. All stored inside this machine. And yet, it waited for a choice. His choice. He reached out. His fingers touched the core. Pain, memory, time, fire, and then stillness above. Syria looked up as the ships fired. The blast hit the crater, vanished. The earth glowed, and a figure rose from the crater, surrounded by a sphere of energy. Silent and bright, Jake, but not the same. The ships froze mid-air. Their systems died instantly. One by one, they fell to the ground, silent. Jake floated above the crater, eyes glowing. There was no rage in his face, only peace. Syria walked to the edge, watching him. He landed beside her. She asked, quietly, "Are you still you?" He smiled, tired, but real. "Yes, but now I know what I have to do." She tilted her head. "And what is that?" He looked at the sky. "Not destroy, not conquer, just stop the war, burn the lies, start something new." Syria stepped beside him. "You're glowing," she said. "So are you," he replied. She smirked, still thinking strange things. She teased. Jake laughed. Always. And together, they turned toward the stars. Not as weapon and target. Not as soldier and alien, but as something. New, something human. Something more.